Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the final general meeting of council for the year. And just wanted to welcome all of the councillors, the senior staff, and the people in the gallery. And just we've got Jane Erkins, Councillor Deputy Mayor Jane Erkins online, and also Councillor Danita Potter. They've both got COVID, but they've been able to come online, and they might, depending on their health, whether they can stay right through for the duration of the meeting. But thanks, Deputy Mayor Jane and Councillor Danita, for coming online, and hopefully you're feeling better soon. So we'll now call for leave of absence and apologies. I don't believe we have any. And I'd like to ask Major Heather Stamp to come forward and offer prayers for our council.
Morning, everyone. Let us pray. Heavenly Father, we pray that our community enjoy this Christmas holiday time. We pray for their safety and health as they share with family and friends. We pray for our council as they face the results of recent flooding, looming fire season, and all other unexpected things that may occur this time. We thank them for their care, hard work and dedication to our community this year, and for wisdom as they plan for next year and beyond. May the joy, hope, love and peace that Christmas represents fill all our hearts as we celebrate God's gift to us. Emmanuel, God with us, and just be with them today at their council meeting and bless them. Amen. Merry Christmas.
Thank you, Major Heather. And thank you to the Salvation Army for what you do. And I know that on Christmas Day you're doing lunch and you've got over 100 people. So that's fantastic. So well done. Thank you for what you do. Moving on to item 4, recognition of traditional owners. And I'll call on Councillor Ros Height to deliver the recognition.
Yes. I would like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land on which we meet today, the Waka Waka people, and acknowledge the elders past, present and emerging. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Height. Moving on to declaration of interest, we have on item 5, I believe we've got 3 councillors who will have to declare. So I'll just ask them to. Councillor Deb Deneen is the first one.
I, Councillor Deb Deneen, inform this meeting that I have a declarable conflict of interest in relation to item 16.1 EBA Update 2. This declarable conflict of interest arises due to a related party being an employee of the South Bennett Regional Council. I propose to leave and stay away from the place where the meeting is being held while this matter is discussed and voted on.
Thank you, Councillor Deneen. Councillor Erkins.
I, Councillor Erkins, inform this meeting that I have a prescribed conflict of interest in relation to item 16.1 EBA Update 2. This prescribed conflict of interest arises due to a family member, a close associate, being an employee of South Bennett Regional Council. I propose to leave and stay away from the place where the meeting is being held while this matter is discussed and voted on.
Thank you, Councillor Erkins. Councillor Sander.
I, Councillor Sander, inform this meeting that I have a prescribed conflict of interest in relation to item 16.1 EBA Update number 2, and this prescribed conflict of interest arises due to a family member being an employee of the South Bennett Regional Council. I propose to leave and stay away from the place where the meeting is being held while this matter is discussed and voted on.
Thank you, Councillor Sanders. So when we get to item 16.1 in the confidential agenda, the 3 councillors will be stepping out, or Councillor Jane will be just having to go offline during that period. So now we're moving on to deputations and petitions. So I don't believe there's any on item 6. Number 7 is confirmation of minutes of previous meeting. 7.1, the minutes of the council meeting held on the 20th of November 2024. So that's on page 6. So the officer's recommendation is that the minutes of the council meeting held on the 20th of November 2024 be received and the recommendations therein be adopted. Someone to move that, Councillor Height. Someone to second that, Councillor Little. Put it to the vote. All those in favour? Against? Carried. Moving on to notices of motion. There's none on item 28 on page 26. So we'll move on to the councillor divisional updates. So I will go first. Good morning, everyone. It is great to see some beautiful rain around. The grass will be green and the dams full for Christmas. The rain is great, but the flooding that we have comes with some significant challenges. The amount of rain that has fallen in some areas has caused major flooding, and I urge everyone to please be careful on the roads. There are a number of messages for the community. Please check Council's disaster dashboard if planning a trip. We have the state roads and our local roads on this site, and Council keeps this as up to date as possible. Please drive to the conditions of a road, and remember, if it's flooded, forget it. Please don't take risks because we want everyone to stay safe on our road network. I would like to thank our staff, particularly those who work after hours, to ensure that roads are signed where necessary and debris, trees and hazards are removed. We are going to see additional damage and lots of potholes from this rain. The wet weather means that our slashes will be parked up and the grass will continue to grow until we get our machines on the ground. Similarly, the Parks and Gardens team will struggle to get mowers on the ground to keep up with the grass and weeds. Even though we have air scoured the Kingaroy water pipes, because it is a mixture of Badooma and Gordonbrook dams, when flooding occurs, the water gets stirred up and there may be some temporary discolouring. There has also been broken mains in Nanango. Please report any of your issues or concerns to Council so that we can work with you to address them. Yesterday, CEO Mark and his wife Nicola presented Santa Claus Lane and Christmas Cottage, and Ken Mills sponsored Santa's workshop. Congratulations to all of the winners from across our region, and thank you to everyone who participated, the residents, the streets and the businesses. It is wonderful to see the beautiful displays that help create a festive Christmas atmosphere for our communities. This is our last council meeting for the year, so I'd like to take this opportunity to wish everyone from across our beautiful region, my fellow councillors, CEO Mark and our council staff, a happy, holy and safe Christmas and a fantastic 2025. Thank you and God bless. So now we're moving on to Deputy Mayor Jane. If you're able to, well, if you just wait 1 minute for Christy, and then okay, Councillor Jane, are you ready?
Yes, thank you. I'd just like to make this probably fairly short and sweet because I'm going to put out a written report which I'll put up on my Facebook page. But I would firstly like to wish all those in the community a very happy and a Merry Christmas and a very prosperous and happy and healthy New Year. I would also like to thank Mayor Kathy Duff for her support during the year. It's been great, Kathy, working with you. I would like to also thank CEO Mark Pitt, the girls in the executive suite, executive office, for their help and support. Also to general managers and managers throughout the association, a very Merry Christmas. I'd also like to thank and wish my fellow councillors all the very best for the new year. Thank you for their help and support. And it's been so far a great year for my community. Just hoping that they keep safe during this wet weather period. I know that last night it's very scary when that water comes at night and you can't see what's happening. And there are a number of places in our region that are fairly vulnerable with wet weather. If you're driving through roads and they're not closed yet and they're only very low, please consider that when you drive through, you are causing an impact on places around there, especially South Street. There was a fair impact from traffic going through there before council were able to get to shut those roads. So just remember, it's a big area and it does sometimes take staff a little while to get around to all the roads. So please use some common sense, especially at night time. You cannot see how deep that water is and you don't know what damage is done underneath. So while I don't want this to be a pessimistic message, so back to Merry Christmas and hoping for a healthy, happy and prosperous new year for us all. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Jane. It's been great working with you, and I look forward to the coming 12 months with you as, or the next 8 months with you as the Deputy. So now we're moving on to, I believe, who is next? Councillor Linda Little would like to go next.
Good morning all. It's been a very busy time in Division 2 over the last month. There have been many meetings with community groups and local residents and awards nights at local schools. The Benarkan State School held the opening of their new sensory garden on the 22nd of November. This space is an area for the young people to go and relax and recharge during the day, with hammocks and different spaces for quiet play. I attended the opening of the Art of the Forest exhibition at the Bunya Mountains, where I was honoured to officially open the weekend event. I've also attended Benarkan, Blackbutt, Tangerine and Yarraman Awards nights. It's always great to celebrate the achievements of our youth, and so many of our young people are doing amazing things. Manager Leanne organised a really well-attended community consultation in Blackbutt re the Flying Fox situation. It was really informative with representatives from different agencies in attendance. And just about all of the directly affected community members and residents attended and gave their views and some really positive feedback. So I think after this consultation period, we should be able to come up with a really good workable plan. So all of the information will be getting collated over the Christmas period, and hopefully we'll have something that we can put out to the community in around February. The Blackbutt Lions Over 60s Lunch and Christmas Festival was really well attended by our local communities, and we were really pleased to have Mayor Cappy there with us. I tell you, she does like to get in and have a bit of fun with everybody. So everybody appreciated you being there, and the feedback has been fantastic. The festival finished with a magnificent fireworks display, and it was really awesome, and it lasted about 10 minutes, so everybody was in awe of that. The current weather events have been very challenging, for our council staff, and they are all working really hard to fix the potholes and the roads damaged by the recent rains. Our Parks and Gardens teams are also doing their very best to keep up with the mowing and the slashing. Please take care on our roads, be safe, drive to the conditions, and look out for our staff working throughout the region. Without them, we don't have this beautiful region that we live in. I'd just like to finish by wishing everybody that I've worked with since becoming the Divisional Council, from all the office staff, the outdoor staff, my fellow councillors, Mayor, Mark. It's been an absolute journey, learning heaps, and thank you for all of your support. So Merry Christmas from my family to yours, and a very safe and happy New Year. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Little. Councillor Potter would be number 3, Divisional Councillor. So are you ready, Councillor Potter? Oh, I think, is someone going to read yours?
Yeah, Councillor Little's doing
So
mine
Councillor
for me,
Little is
thank
going
you,
to
Mayor.
read yours.
It's been a very busy month, especially the last week with the rain and the flooding, which is why the local disaster management group has been at alert since last week. If it's flooded, forget it. And please log on to the South Burnett Regional Council disaster dashboard for any information regarding road closures or TMR or council roads. You can also see the flood cameras, of which there are 6 on the dashboard. There are more storms predicted today, so please take care on our roads. I would like to thank all the council staff for being out, going above and beyond, checking roads, putting up signs, and also our emergency service personnel for everything they do. We are truly blessed to have such amazing people in our area willing to help at a moment's notice. I've attended meetings with Queensland Education and PHN in relation to the first 2,000 days for our children. This is ongoing with the South Burnett Partnership for Kids. South Burnett Suicide Prevention Working Group Incorporated helped Kingaroy Medicare Mental Health Centre host Just a Farmer movie, which was impactful and hard-hitting. So please, over Christmas, if you need to talk to someone, please call Lifeline, Kids Helpline, Suicide Prevention Line, callback service, and for Defence Force past and present members and their families, you can call Open Arms. There are many other services, so please ask if you need them. Kingaroy Men's Shed had their garage sale, and they are also organising Dinner Under the Stars for the 8th of March next year. So pop that in your calendars, because it'll be a great night. We had the Kingaroy Christmas Carols, Kingaroy Christmas Carnival, and the Family Fun Day in the Highway Church, which were all very wonderful. Sorry, guys. And Danette has also asked me to wish everybody in the South Burnett a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
Thank you, Councillor Little, for reading that on behalf of Councillor Potter. Hopefully you'll be feeling better soon. But now I'll hand over to Division 4 Councillor Deb Deneen.
Good morning, everybody. A few things in Division 4. Privileged again to attend the opening of the art display for this month, which is wonderful. And at the art gallery, they have a pop-up Christmas shop. It's fantastic. I did get a couple of gifts there. One that I decided to keep for myself, so it was so cute. The Quicker Conference came to the South Burnett recently, which is showcasing our region to the people who are in other areas, giving information from the Tourist Information Centre. So there were a lot of volunteers, a lot of staff members there, and they all went home thinking that South Burnett was fantastic, and hopefully sending more people to our region, which I'm sure they will. They thoroughly enjoyed the time here, even the glamping, lots of positive feedback about that at the dam, and the wonderful facilities we have here. Looking forward to, and had a meeting with our staff about the Adamon Park upgrade to the toilet facilities, which they come up with great ideas. It's going to work beautifully. It'll be much easier to use, and looking forward to that footpath going up Tesmans, because I went for a walk there this morning, and it'll be much safer when we've got that done. I attended the Red Earth Foundation Red Report at Dimity's in Wandai, which was interesting. A lot of people there, and that foundation continues to encourage and support individuals and organisations in the area. The same with Visit South Burnett. We've been to their AGM, and that was wonderful at Ringsfield House. And Baido, which is always a great organisation, and reading their press releases lately, they are doing wonderful things. I know they were involved with the Blueberry Festival in Maryborough, which apparently was fantastic. So they support so many things here. I did also have the privilege to attend the Kingaroy State School graduation for the grade 6 people. That was just beautiful. We have some amazing young people, and they are the leaders of our future. So it was great. It was at the high school, where many of them are going, but of course they're going to all different schools here. The Mayor's Christmas luncheon was great. You didn't hear us singing, did you? No. No, we've done a bit of singing this Christmas. Thank you, Mayor, for encouraging us, and Christy for always being there to encourage us to sing, which is scary. Thank goodness Julianne was there. The Christmas Carnival was just fantastic. I was on that committee. Danita's still on the committee. It's just a massive thing to organise, and it went off beautifully. We were very blessed this year not to have a storm in the middle of it, which often happens. And I believe that the Nanango Christmas Carnival may have been cancelled. Yes, yeah, which is very unfortunate, but that's the time of year these sort of things happen. We're so looking forward to, and if people have noticed round the back of the Lady Flo Hospital, the fences are up because that starts early next year. The progress towards the building of the new Lady Flo Hospital, that's going to be just a wonderful thing here. And chatting to people at the CTC breakfast, they've got great plans for upgrading the area of that they work from in Somerset Street as well. So there are certainly things happening in Kingaroy and surrounding towns, and it's wonderful. We did have a great Christmas party for our staff, which was fantastic, and we had a lovely Christmas party for our volunteers. We have many volunteers in the South Burnett. We're so grateful to them for visiting, manning the visit centres, and for helping out in so many ways. The opening of Memorial Park, the challenge course at Memorial Park, which is wonderful, and the rain didn't even seem to stop those young people that were just going over those obstacles with no trouble at all, even the little tiny ones. I thought, oh, you won't make it, but they did. So that's going to be wonderful for our young people in the area. There are so many great young people that we've got here, and there was a few not so young people climbing over those things as well and playing basketball in the rain. It was another wonderful day. So thank you very much, as everyone has said, to the team that we work with, from the Mayor to the councillors to the CEO, all of our senior staff. All of our staff are just brilliant, and we're so proud of them, and we're so grateful for them. So, and please be very cautious in what you say on social media, because our staff are amazing and they deserve every bit of praise, and they do work so hard in the middle of the night when everyone else is asleep and these people are out putting signs out. Think about what they're doing. So thank you. And a special little mention, happy 90th birthday for my beautiful, wonderful mother yesterday. It was her birthday. So thanks all. Have a great Christmas, everybody.
Thank you, Councillor Deneen. That's a good update, and yeah, we should please extend our best wishes to your mum. That's wonderful, 90 years. And I just wondered, while Councillor Sanders coming to the to make his presentation, I just wanted to say that we did raise $6,000 for the Mayor's Christmas luncheon, so that was fantastic. So that will go to vouchers. Well, they've already purchased the vouchers to go out to the different organisations to distribute to the most needy in our region. So handing over now to Councillor Sander.
Good morning, everybody. Over the last month, since the last meeting, been quite busy attending school awards. We've had the Wheatlands State School Awards, Croston and Mergen State School. So always pleasing to see all those children receiving awards, and the ones that are outstanding in their fields that they choose to do and follow. And there's going to be some really good students come back to the area as doctors and lawyers and police, or you know, whatever they choose in their field. Just want to point out that to the community that the council can't control the weather. You know, we've copped it on Facebook, we cop it every day. People blame the council for a lot of stuff. We cannot control what goes on with the weather. We're in the same predicament as well. We have roads that guys have just spent months and months and months repairing, and they're back there again today putting up road close signs when they're going to have to reattend and redo what they've just done. So it's just the way it is. We just move on and roll with the punches and pick up the pieces and start again. Last night there was a fair bit of water running around the Heisville area and the Croston area. I was out there until 9:30 last night, meeting with residents and stuff, and there was a fair bit of water going through the township of Heisville. Along with Nanango, I seen last night as well, the BP area around Nanango. There's a lot of water in all the catchment areas, so when that stuff fills up, there's nowhere for the water to go. It's just going to back up and it's going to create more dramas. So today, the BP dam is at 108% this morning, or 107.9. And Angels Bridge, when I came over to come to Kingaroy now, is probably about 300 mil under the bridge. So there's areas, once that stuff sort of backs up and the Baramba Creek meets the Barkers Creek at the bottom of BP Dam, things are going to get messier downstream. And that'll flow over the next few days through Krebs Bridge area and down through Marshlands, and which Marshlands Bridge is already cut. So just keep an eye on the disaster dashboard. That's updated regularly, and it will keep everyone informed on what's happening. It's a very brief report this time because I've been actually extremely busy in the last month, so I just threw something together just this morning. I'd like to thank Mayor Duff and the other councillors for supporting me over the last 8 months. I'd also like to thank CEO Mark and the executive team, the general managers and the staff of the South Burnett Regional Council. I'm probably one of the most hardest councillors to work with, and probably the hardest to manage, as you can tell by the smile on Mark's face. But I put it down as passion. I'm passionate about the region, and I try to get the best for the community and the ratepayers of the region. So from my family to yours, I'd like to wish yous, everyone in the South Burnett region, a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, and safe. Just a little bit of common sense, take it easy on the roads. If it takes an extra 10 minutes to get somewhere, so be it. It's better to be late than never. So, Merry Christmas.
Thank you, Councillor Sander. Yeah, no, we enjoy working with you. I'm sure all the other councillors agree that, it's great to have you as part of our team. Handing over now to Division 6 Councillor Ros Height.
Okay, Division 6. Well, 2024 is drawing to a close, and the first 9 months of this term of council. It's been refreshing to be part of a cohesive, forward-thinking and hard-working council. And I thank the Mayor, my fellow councillors, the CEO, the executives and the council staff for working with us on this journey for an even better South Burnett. This is being challenged at the moment with all the wet weather, and as a few councillors have alluded to, there is some roads closed. There's forecasts there could be more roads closed this afternoon and in the coming days. So please stay safe, and council are doing their best. And I know it's totally unreasonable of them, but some staff might want a few days off next week, so please be understanding. I mean, anyone would think it was Christmas, seriously. So last month has been pretty busy in Division 6. A few highlights. I attended the community consultation meeting for the last one for 2024 for the Cooper's Gap Wind Farm. They announced the recipients of their latest community grants, which included support for Cumbria Historical Society, the Bunya Mountains exhibition, and contribution to the Cumbria Hall restumping. Cumbria Hall restumping deserves a special mention. Their buyer stump appeal has been absolutely fantastically successful, with the community absolutely getting behind the Hall committee and many people buying a stump, as well as a number of businesses. The first two stages are fully funded and happening, and the third stage is well on its way to being completed, so it's a great community effort. Congratulations to the Wondai Army Cadet Unit on their end-of-year dinner, which was a great success, but I was sorry to miss. The Army Cadets are a marvellous opportunity for many young people, but I know they do struggle to find the supervisors. So if anybody is interested in a really rewarding position, do contact me or the Army unit, Cadet Unit, because there could be an opportunity for you. Wondai State School celebrated another successful academic year, a little school that punches above its weight, and thank you to outgoing Principal Libby Michael, I'm never quite sure how to pronounce her name, and we wish her well for the future. Dimity's Wondai was the location for the Red Earth Community Foundation end-of-year dinner, which I attended with Councillor Deneen, and the announcement of next year's leadership attendees. After 11 years, the list and the achievements of the successful alumni of the Community Leadership Programme has been really beneficial to our region. Each month, the Wondai Ladies' Lunch meet at different venues around the region, and it's a great social connection opportunity for a lot of these elderly ladies. There's an average of about 50 each month. So congratulations to Elaine Medill and her helpers Lee Jacobson and Pam McAllister for facilitating this event, and I was pleased to attend their end-of-year function. Carol services, of course, abound around the region, and Wondai Carol Service was lucky to secure a beautiful evening, and thanks to South Burnett Regional Council, with a bit of funding for a free sausage sizzle, face painting and glow sticks to add to a lovely evening led by the Wondai Town Band. As chair of the local radio station, Crow 90.7 FM, we had a successful AGM and a reflection on the year that was. Community radio continues to have a vital place in the fabric of our society. I was pleased to attend the Geelong School end-of-year celebrations, an inclusion of the new school song, Geelong Rides On, and various song and dance routines was especially enjoyable, as well as the academic and sporting awards. The Mayor's Lunch, as mentioned before, was a great success. Well done, Mayor Cathy, for leading that. Wondai Regional Art Gallery had its final exhibition opening for 2024 with another lovely display of art. Councillor Jason Bartels of Bundaberg opened the exhibition, and he's very envious of our art galleries, I might add. The volunteer thank you Christmas lunch was well attended. The council volunteers are really highly valued and so valuable to the richness of our community. So we're very appreciative of their efforts. And we also had the staff family Christmas party for the council, which was a new format and well received. The Wondai Hospital Auxiliary had its Christmas break-up in Wondai, a dedicated group who raised much needed funds to make the life of residents of Forest View more enjoyable. A few people have mentioned the opening of the youth precinct at Kingaroy Memorial Park, which was marred by a little bit of a rainy day, but great to see kids having fun. And Cumbria Christmas Carnival avoided the worst of the wet day and was enjoyed great crowds and more funds raised for the stump appeal. The Just a Farmer was a great film. Unfortunately, because of storms that day, a few people couldn't attend, but I do recommend it as awareness of mental health challenges in farms and rural areas. Yesterday, CTC had a successful Mingle and Jingle. I'm not sure who thought up that name. With 33 programs and 270 staff, their influence has spread across the region. The Wondai Christmas Carnival is on this Saturday, which was at Wondai Showgrounds, which is usually traditionally the last Christmas carnival of the year. And as other people have mentioned, the recent rain has provided a few challenges. So please take care and keep safe. And from my family to everyone, I'd like to wish you a safe, happy and enjoyable Christmas and a wonderful 2025. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Height, for that great Division 6 update. I just want to also take this opportunity to thank Christy from our media team. Christy is pretty much does it all. Most other councils have a group, whereas Christy is our sole media team, and she does an amazing job. So it's the power of one. So thank you very much, Christy. And I also want to thank the executive team, Danielle and Vanell, but particularly Helen. Helen is my personal assistant, and she just does an amazing job. I just could not get through the things that I do without Helen. She does my diary and even puts the distance, how far it's going to take, how long it's going to take to get from point A to point B. And it's been throughout the year, it's just been amazing to have Helen working for me. So thank you very much for what you've done. So we'll move on to business outstanding, item 10.1 on page 26, and I think Councillor Little has some questions. I might ask for a mover and seconder first. Someone to move that the business outstanding be received. Councillor Height, seconded by Councillor Sando. And I'll hand over to Councillor Little.
Thank you, Mayor Duff. So all my notes have disappeared off my thing here now. Goodness.
I can just ask a question.
Councillor Height.
Okay. Just on page 29, there is a motion that failed, so I don't know why it's in the actions. Are these being updated, Mr. CEO?
I think it's item, that's the one about the cemeteries.
Yeah, internment. So it shouldn't really be an outstanding business.
Yeah, no, we checked, given a number of the questions, and I'm hoping the reason that all those notes disappeared off Councillor Little's machine is that the outstanding answer that I gave her this morning, Siri was listening and wiped them all.
Wiped automatically.
That one, yeah, it'll disappear this next week. There was a follow-up meeting between the parties, and there will be a meeting in the new year with the parties and the councillors. So it was actually left active just for a bit while we tidied that up. So there'll be some notes put against it, and it will disappear very quickly as a new process commences with the next meeting.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so I found one.
Councillor Little.
The Memorandum Waste Transfer Facility access options. So the trial period has currently finished. I'm just wondering whether that is now, the opening hours during the trial period are going to be permanent.
So I'll just hand over to General Manager Aaron to address that matter.
Through the Mayor, so we're happy to bring back a report to the January meeting to see how Council wants to progress with that, to either extend the trial or keep it open. I think it's been successful today as far as the feedback that we've had, so happy to bring that back for Council's consideration. But they would continue until at that current operating arrangement until Council decides how it wants to deal with it.
Thank you, General Manager Aaron. I think it's been a fantastic, good news story. Everyone's been very conscientious and looked after that site. I know that they are they knew that council was watching them, but I'm hoping into the future that continues. But yeah, it's certainly been a good move. And I know I've spoken to some of the locals, and they said that they are actually going to a lot of trouble to make sure that it remains tidy. Councillor Little?
Jane.
Oh, sorry, Councillor Deputy Mayor Jane.
Thank you, Mayor. Just on page 37, going through to 38, on the South Bennett Regional Council commences to process to review local law in regards to the animal management. We have there on number 4, consult with relevant government entities about the overall state interest in the proposed local law, with the report to be brought back to November meeting. But I just wonder if we can add in there that they also consult with the local kennel clubs in the area, because a lot of those members actually do travel to other places, and they're probably pretty up to date on what the rules and regulations are on other regions, and they can advise on where we can seek some of that government advice.
Might just ask CEO Mark to comment.
Yeah, no, happy to. It doesn't need to be added into the resolution. Recently, the inclement weather regrettably mucked up a workshop on this that would have progressed the next report. But we have certainly also consulted with a number of other, the staff have also spoken to a number of other local council areas as well, and how many, particularly on dog limits on properties and how they are handling it. So whilst the workshop and the next report won't resolve the whole issue, but yeah, certainly consultation with the local kennel clubs would be most advantageous and would be welcome. So yeah, long answer short,
wonder,
yes.
Okay, Mark, I just wonder whether it would be possible for us to have, just maybe 1 or 2 representatives at our workshop, because sometimes some of the questions that are put to us from other council are things that those members of the Kennel Club have actually explained to us in previous councils. But, I find it a little bit difficult to understand. But if we could have 1 or 2 responsible members at it, that we could put those questions to them, I wonder whether that would be possible.
We can issue an invitation, Councillor, yeah, that's no trouble at all, to a workshop, and so they could do a bit of a little talk. But anyway, yeah, no, we can work that out with the mayor, but issuing an invitation to a couple of representatives would be no trouble.
Yep, okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor Erkins. So any other questions on the business outstanding table? Councillor Little.
So I have another one here. The expansion of the Tabinga Cemetery. I see back in May this year we should have started doing engagement with the Department of Agriculture and Fisheries and consulting with the neighbours of the Tabinga Cemetery, but doesn't seem like anything's really happening with that.
What page is that?
That is on page 52.
52.
Yeah, so on the 3rd of October it was reassigned to another staff member, but there's been no action really at all on it.
So did you want to comment, CEO Mark?
Okay.
Or
So there has been, oops, bugger, just broke it. There's been with the return of with the return of a manager from a long period of leave, that's been picked up, and her and her department or her officers are running with it. We've got the road. There's lines on the map, road closures out there. They have spoken. The notes aren't updated, acknowledged. They have spoken to the Department of Agriculture, I believe. I'll double check that. They've certainly been consulting. There's been one-on-one meetings have started to occur out there, and that's that's now rolling. So that one will like to see consultation period, if it hasn't finished, won't be too far away with the correspondence we've sent to all the neighbouring properties just recently. And yeah, well, we can get an update for you for January. But it's kicked.
Okay, thank you. It just seems sometimes things take a very long time
Yeah,
before there's any action.
depending on who's about, it's now got a champion and someone who owns the action. So yeah, it's off and running now.
Any other questions? Councillor Sander.
So just an update on that, the Proston Pool has been, it was actioned on the 12th of December, but just an extra update is it seems to be working well and there is a lot of people attending, so it's good to see.
So that's great news. That's fantastic. Councillor Erkins.
Mayor? Yeah, if I can just say that we have actually had such a big change of staff with, a number of staff leaving due to illness, due to moving to other areas. We are actually, there's a lot of new staff that are having a lot of things put onto their plate. And I just look at some of these things when you see how many are put on, and I just don't want community to think that they're not doing their jobs, because they're very much under the pump at present. And I just want to make sure that community are aware of that.
Thanks, Councillor Erkins. Any other questions? If not, are you ready to vote? We'll put it to the vote. All those in favour? Against? Carried.
Yep.
So moving on to item 11.1 on page 63, and that is the meeting dates for the ordinary meetings of council. The officer's recommendation is that council adopt the dates, times and locations for ordinary meetings of council, January to December 2025, as follows. And there's a list on the agenda. So would someone like to move that? Councillor Little, seconded by Councillor Deneen. Any discussion? So those meetings are on the third Wednesday of the month. Are we ready to vote?
Yep.
Put it to the vote. All those in favour? Against?
Yep.
Carried.
Yep.
Moving on to item 11.2, adoption of the South Bennett Regional Council Hydesville Advisory and Working Group Terms of Reference on page 65. The officer's recommendation is that the South Bennett Regional Council Hydesville Advisory and Working Group Terms of Reference Strategic 043 be adopted as presented. So I might ask CEO Mark to give a little bit of an explanation around that.
Or it'd be very short, Mayor. It's terms of reference for the group the council's formed. It's the first of those three groups. It's got its terms of reference at this point. First meeting's been held. It'll be the vehicle to deal with a range of opportunities in Hydesville that we can look at and work with the community. And the terms of reference just give guidance to the working group.
Thank you, CEO Mark. I just also wanted to just mention that on the 20th, which is in 2 days' time, that amnesty period is up for anyone wanting to do upgrades to their buildings so that they are compliant. So it's very important to get the message out to the community, and we've sent out a letter out to the Hydesville Progress Association, and I believe we've done a media release to let the community know that they need to come forward and put their name down so that council can work with them closely over however long it takes to become compliant. We realise a lot of them are struggling, so if you put your name down and you're showing that you're trying to work towards compliance, we'll certainly be absolutely giving you every bit of time. But if anyone who hasn't put their name down, who refuses to or doesn't work with council, we're going to have to make it fairly challenging. We're going to be forcing the compliance because of there's been so many internal complaints. It's forced our hand as council, and it's unfortunate because of the timing and everybody's struggling, but we certainly have, it's been a long road, and now we're trying to be as soft as we can with the Hydesville community. by asking everyone to come forward, put the names down, try and work towards solutions for the building compliance. But certainly anyone that misses out on that amnesty period will be having to deal with the compliance team. Councillor Sander?
Just everything you just said, Mayor, plus last night, even as late as last night, I received positive comments from people at Highsville to say how well that the council staff who have attended so far have spoken to them and dealt with them on all their dramas. And they said that it was good to see that they didn't come in heavy-handed. They come in and spoke to them with respect, and they were actually talking highly of them and saying how good they were spoken to by the staff. So it just shows that, you know, that we're not out there to attack them. We're only doing their job. So these guys are stuck in the middle of it, but they've been commended for the way that they've dealt with it.
Well, that's really good, because we're using this as a model, because there's other areas that are have similar issues, but we're working with the Highsville community as to try and establish a model for our whole region. So thank you. Any other discussion around this particular motion? If not, are you ready to vote? I'll put it to the vote. All those in favour? Oh, did we do a mover? Oh, sorry, we didn't do a mover. So who wants to move that? Councillor Sander, seconded by Councillor Little. All those in favour? Against? Carried. So moving on to item 11.3, BIEDO update on page 70. So the officer's recommendation is that South Bennett Regional Council receive the BIEDO partnership report for information. Someone to move that? Councillor Height. Someone to second that? Councillor Deneen. Any discussion? Councillor Height.
I'm on that board. Well, I'm the council representative with you as well, aren't you, Kathy?
Yes.
Yeah. Just want to acknowledge that I think BIEDO's working well and are an asset to our region. Yeah, going well.
Thank you. Any other questions, comments? If not, I'll put to the vote. All those in favour? Against? Carried. Moving on to item 11.4 on page 74, which is the Black Spot funding program. So the officer's recommendation is that South Bennett Regional Council, number 1, endorse a council officer to initiate contact with eligible program applicants, example Telstra, to identify priority project sites or locations and solutions that are suitable for funding under the Round 8 Mobile Black Spot program, and discuss potential co-contributions, financial and or in kind, with eligible program applicants. The council officer will also discuss with eligible program applicants the suitability of the following sites identified in council's draft digital advocacy plan for nomination to the project notice board for round 8 of the Mobile Black Spot program. And these are the list. This is the list. Bandooma Dam, Queensland, 0528, I don't know how to pronounce that, Maubullen, Bunya Mountains, Queensland, 1505, Moffatdale, Burnett Highway, Redgate, Mallar Road, Kingaroy, Crawford, Memrambi, Rurulan, Devereux Drive, Toorong, Old Esk Road, Toromeo, Deep Creek Road, Inverlour, 141 to 245, Haley Creek Road, Gudger, Bjelke Peterson Dam, Nanango Gameri Highway, Coolabunya Sayards, Gordon Brook Dam, Bandooma Homestead, and then we want to add, I know Councillor Urquhart wanted to add Nanango Maidenwell Road. So that's the list. And then number 2 item is in that motion is to endorse the submission of a suitable project proposal to the project notice board for round 8 of the Mobile Black Spot program. Someone to move that? Councillor Height. Someone to second that? Councillor Little. Any discussion? Councillor Height.
In this day and age, it's actually unacceptable that we have such poor mobile reception, particularly in our tourist activities like Bandooma Dam, Gordon Brook Dam. We have a lot of visitors to the area doing physical activities, and oftentimes there's no mobile reception. In the metropolitan areas, they would not tolerate that because it's a safety issue and it is holding our region back, not having good mobile reception along both those tourist sites and a lot of the townships and communities. So it is really important that the powers that be who make these decisions recognise that regional areas are entitled and need to have good mobile coverage. So fully supportive of this nomination. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Height. Councillor Little.
Everything that Councillor Height just said, as well as by community in Division 2, especially the Bunya Mountains and Toromio area, are really pleased that our name is on this list. So all our areas are on this list. And fingers crossed we can be added into the program and have all those updates done.
Thank you. Any other comments? If not, I'll put to the vote all those in favour. Against? Carried unanimously. Thank you. Moving on to item 12.1, monthly financial information on page 78. I'll hand over to General Manager Kerry to give us an update. Thank you.
Thank you. Through you, Madam Mayor. At the end of November, Council's cash and cash equivalents amounted to 64.7 million, with around 32 million of this balance classed as restricted cash. When looking at the capital program, departments have spent approximately 17.7% of the amended budget, or up to 30% when taking into account current commitments. Overall, Council's operating position is holding relatively well for this time of year, with Finance continuing to monitor income and expenditure in collaboration with managers to ensure yearly predictions are on track. Budget preparations for the 25-26 year will begin in the new year, with initial budget parameters currently being drafted for consideration to provide a starting point for budget discussions. Council will be undergoing a credit review this financial year with Queensland Treasury Corporation, with work being completed by Finance over the next few months to assist QTC with their review process. I now present the November monthly financials to the Chamber for their information.
Thank you, General Manager Kerry. So the officer's recommendation is that the monthly financial report, including capital works and works for Queensland, W4Q5, as at the 30th of November 2024, be received and noted. Someone to move that. Councillor Dineen, seconded by Councillor Little. Any discussion? Any questions? Councillor Height.
Can I just ask, everyone's aware of the cost of living crisis, and the first rates notice, the deadline was a couple of weeks ago, not quite sure when it was. Are we noticing an increase in unpaid, or is that too early to have assessed that data?
Through you, Madam Mayor. From what we're seeing, we probably ratepayers are working really well with council. We've seen probably a lot more that are actually coming forward, identifying that they are having issues, having those chats with the rate staff, going on payment plans. We're trying to work with them. So we probably have seen a little bit of an influx of those type of queries, which is really good, and that's sort of what we want the ratepayers to do, is to contact us, and we can help work through a suitable arrangement. But yeah, overall, the total value that's outstanding is probably a lot less than what we've seen previously. So everyone's really working hard. Yeah.
Good. Yeah, and I would encourage people, if they're struggling, to talk to our rates team and go on a payment plan. It's much better than getting in arrears. So thank you, Deanne.
Thank you, Councillor Hyde. Any other questions? Councillor Dineen.
Just going to support what Councillor Height said, in the fact that shows what a great relationship that our team has, our finance team, our council team, with the ratepayers, that we can look after people when they're not doing so well, and we really appreciate that for you, Kerry, and your team. Thank you.
Thank you. Well said. So any other questions or comments? If not, I'll put to the vote all those in favour. Against? Carried. Thank you. Now we're moving on to item 12.2 on page 126. So the officer's recommendation is that council receives a report for information and notes the new retailer Origin Energy Limited for the 8 C and I sites for a period of a 36-month contract commencing the 1st of January 2025. This is the energy auction outcome. So someone to move that? Councillor Little, seconded by Councillor Sander. Any discussion? Any? Did we want to get? Is it Louise? Did you want to talk to this one?
Through you, Madam Mayor. The auction went off without any issue at all. We didn't obtain significant savings, I think maybe $16,000 as per in the report. Origin Energy have been a supplier to council once before, so we were with Shell and now we've moved across to Origin. It was still a competitive market. I think we had over 12 offers of the big retailers. So we're just looking down some other paths for energy and renewable energy for council as well. So that's low-hanging fruit that we might be able to achieve.
Thank you. Any questions to Louise or any comments? You're happy to? Oh, Councillor Erkins.
Yeah. Yep, I'd just like to thank Louise for her work in that. You know, she might say that 16,000 is not a big saving, but on today's
So I think you're cutting out, Councillor Erkins.
Market, the way things are going up all the time, $16,000 saving is definitely a lot better than a $16,000 increase.
Yes, absolutely. Thanks, Councillor.
I'd look to Louise. The age saving, it's a lot better than a $16,000 increase. So well done and thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Erkins. Any Councillor Height?
I know we've talked about putting a whole lot of solar panels on different roofs. Have we got solar panels, or are they happening?
I'm not entirely sure without discussing with properties as to what solar panels we have, but what I'm currently looking at is potential solar panels for the depot. So our Kingaroy depot is classified as a C&I site, which is commercial and industrial. However, in the agreement that we entered into with Origin Energy, that site can be reclassified at no contract exit costs to council if we to reclassify it and make it a renewable site. Given the amount of roof space that we have at the depot, it would be a viable site for that, which essentially we could enter into an agreement for that. But keeping that in mind, it does have a capital investment. So we will potentially look at going out to market in a very similar fashion. It could very well be like a reverse auction, or it could be out to market through our energy brokers, and they will obtain a very good rate for us for a solar provider, and then they will undertake the analysis as to what that payback period may be, which will still require capital investment. So those are just things that I'm exploring at the moment, and then once I've sort of got all of my ducks in a row, then I'll put it back to council and say, right, it may cost you this much, but over this term of life, you could save this much.
Sure. I thought this had been discussed previously, and I thought a decision had been made to put solar panels on different buildings.
I'm not sure.
I don't know whether they have because of the capital outlay, but we're still looking at that. But I wonder, there should be grants available to do that kind of work?
Yeah, so through you, Madam Mayor, so I do know that Manager Leanne has been keeping an eye out for those options for grant funding. I know we did put in for one lot of grant funding, but I don't believe we were successful in that instance. However, she's still keeping an eye out for that to be able to apply when those grant funding opportunities become available.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Hyde. So, and Kerry, ready to vote? Put it to the vote. All those in favour? Against?
Yep.
Carried. Thank you. So now we're moving on to item 12.3 on page 134. So this one is the office is to do with the supply of PPE field uniforms. The office's recommendation is that South Bennett Regional Council approve the recommendation to establish a 12-month supply arrangement for high visibility field uniforms with AIM Safety Proprietary Limited. Would someone like to move that? Councillor Deneen. Someone to second that? Councillor Height. So any discussion around this? So I was concerned that we have locals or a local supplier in the list, and who are they are a little bit dearer, but they are local. And I was told that they are not actually local. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct. No local suppliers actually submitted a tender for the supply of the PPE field uniforms. I believe you may be thinking Totally Workwear.
I was thinking Totally Workwear.
No, Totally Workwear are not a local business.
Okay, so they're not a local business at all. No. So they're based in
Toowoomba and Yatala.
Okay. Well, that's it. Then that makes it easy to make a decision. So does anyone else have any comments? Councillor Deneen.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that I did read that update. Thank you, Louise, with the reasons why, and yeah, thank you for doing that. Unfortunately, we have no local suppliers, but the ones in the team are going to do a good job, so thanks.
Councillor Sander.
When the list came out, I actually Googled, so if someone else Googles it and checks out the pricing schedules on some of the different ones that have tendered, they've done a better deal, I believe, with council because it doesn't add up. Like if you look at Totally Workwears, they're actually a difference in price. But when you look at the schedule, it's way suited better to go with this one.
Thank you. Did you want to comment, Louise? No, you're all good?
No comments here.
Okay, so are we ready to vote? Yep. Put it to the vote. All those in favour? Against? Yep. Carried. Okay, so now we're moving on to item 12.4, lease of Baramba Beekeepers Association Incorporated on page 139. So the officer's recommendation is that South Bennett Regional Council, number 1, in accordance with S2361B2 of the Local Government Regulation 2012, dispose of a valuable non-current asset by way of entering into a lease for part of Lot 14 on CP 883708 to the Baramba Beekeepers Association Incorporated for a term of 10 years. Number 2, pursuant to Section 2571B of the Local Government Act 2009, South Bennett Regional Council delegates to the Chief Executive Officer the power to negotiate, finalise and execute a lease with the Baramba Beekeepers Association Incorporated. Someone like to move that?
Yep, I will.
I would.
We might, because it's Nenega, we'll do Deputy Mayor Jane and Councillor Potter to second that. Any comments, discussion?
I'd just like to just make sure that in that part 3, formalise the easement, that we are retaining the other section of that land for council to put to use for another organisation should it be required.
Yeah, thank you. Yes, I did. I omitted to read out that last number 3 dot point to formalise the easement to allow access. So yes. So did CEO Mark, did you want to comment on Councillor Urquitz's point?
No, not in any great detail, but is that not the next one? And then we were just going to leave that lay on the table, Councillor Urquhart, or have I got that wrong?
No.
So we're just in this.
I didn't.
Yes, you go.
So only dealing with the beekeepers at the minute, and then the next report dealt with the other part of the parcel, and that was being left on the table from memory, or that was the suggestion. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Thanks.
So, yeah. So the third, there's a third dot point to the officer's recommendation. It's not in the agenda, but we're adding to formalise the easement to allow access. So that's the easement that goes through that parcel of land to the right of the beekeepers. So are we ready to vote? Put to the vote. All those in favour? All those against? Yep. Carried. Yep. Thank you. So now I've got Councillor Height would like to move a motion. Is that correct?
So what I would like to do, as in September, we actually laid a motion on the table.
Oh, well, we've got one more, sorry.
Oh, hang on. We got
Sorry,
13
yeah, I've jumped the gun. I think yours is after the 12.5. Yeah, sorry, you're 12.51. So 12.5, sorry. License to occupy Nanenga Golf Club is on page 146.
I'd like to lay that
So
motion.
we've got
I'd like to move that we,
procedural motion from Councillor Erkins to lay it on the table.
yes.
Someone to second that?
Sorry, what are we laying on the table? 12.5.
12.5. Councillor Height, no discussion on a procedural motion. Put it to the vote. All those in favour? Against?
Yep.
Carried. Thank you. Now we'll move on to the item 12.51, which is the one that Councillor Height wants to move.
In September, the lease that Wandine District Men's Shed wanted to have over lot 36 was laid on the table, so I'd like to move a motion that we lift that from the table, please.
So someone to second that? Councillor Deneen, put it to the vote. All those in favour?
Yep.
Are the Councillor Potter and Councillor Erkins, you in favour?
Yep.
Yes.
All those in favour? Against? Carried unanimously. Thank you. So now we're moving on to this item, which is Councillor Hyder's moving. Would you like to read that one out?
Yes. So this is the lease, the Wandine District Men's Shed, in accordance with section 2361B2 of the Local Government Regulation 2012, applies to the disposal of valuable non-current asset by way of entering a lease for lot 36 on SP 190438 to the Wandine District Men's Shed Incorporated for a term of 10 years. Number 2, pursuant to section 2571B of the Local Government Act 2009, South Burnett Regional Council delegates to the Chief Executive Officer the power to negotiate, finalise and execute the lease with the Wandine District Men's Shed on terms and conditions considered satisfactory to Council.
So thank you, Councillor Hyde. Would someone like to second that?
Mayor, it's already been moved. So when it was left lay on the table, so Councillor Height moved, Councillor Little second. So that resolution needs to be dealt with now that it's been lifted from the table, either whichever way. So if you pass that, that's fine. If you don't pass that, well then, what do you want to do next? So, but yeah, it has to be dealt with first.
Okay, so that we lift it off the table?
You've done that, so it's ready for debate.
So now we don't need a seconder?
Nope. Councillor Little is already.
Oh, because it's still got the original seconder is Councillor Little.
So
okay.
when it was left lay on the table, it had already been moved and seconded, so it comes back to life. It's just active now.
Okay, I was all over that.
Yeah.
So thank you, Councillor Hyde.
So the Wandine District Men's Shed, when this came up in September, it was a good location for them, but there was the opportunity to explore a few other sites. We have now spent several months exploring other sites and been unable to find a site better than this. I know it was offered for tender and there weren't any tenders, so I am in favour of offering a lease to this men's shed. I think they've got 17 or 18 members. It's a very dynamic group. They're full of enthusiasm. They've raised a certain number of funds. They're keen for apply for grants. And I think that this location would be very good for them. And so I would ask for your support in this motion.
Councillor Little.
So I do have some concerns after reading the full report here. So in the part of the background, the very last sentence says, the zone of medium impact industry would be impact accessible for a community use also. So will the members of the Wandine District Men's Shed have the capacity of funding to be able to do an impact accessible application to put a shed on that block?
So just on that, I think that they get, there would be some support from council because they're a not-for-profit group. So I think that we waive percentage of the fees and things like that. So there would be some help from council. So, but we need someone from, CEO Mark, can you answer that question?
Yeah, I can answer it. Without a resolution, it's tends to be about 50% straight off the top of my head, but an impact assessable application would be at least, well, you wouldn't get it out really 6 months process for it, and it would have to comply with the scheme. So there would be a little bit of work in it, yes.
Yes, and that's my concern for that block. Prior to that, you know, like we've given away lots of land over the period or given back lots of money in the 7 months that I've been a councillor. So it's not about the cost of it, but are they going to be able to afford to do what they need to do to actually put a shed on that block and get established?
I know they have accumulated some funds, and they're actually got a raffle this weekend. They're doing quite a lot of work building things, which is what Men's Shed like to do. So I am confident that they will be able to manage the funding of getting an assessment done. And it is an industrial site. It is, I mean, industrial area. And, you know, sheds are going there. It's not as though it's the middle of a rural area and it's going to get a lot of objections. They are concerned about the noise, that they've got a great big lathe and it is fairly noisy. So that's why they were very keen on having a location where noise wasn't going to be an issue and disturb neighbours. So, and with this lathe, they will be able to make quite a lot of equipment. So I am confident they will be able to be financially viable and manage this, getting grants for sheds and dealing with the impact accessible assessments.
Thank you, Councillor Height. We've got Councillor Potter has got her hand up.
Hi, thank you, Mayor, through you. Just curious, I actually thought that this was still up for sale to the public. Is that correct, or has it been pulled from sale?
No, it is still up for sale to the public. So we went out to tender and we had no tenders.
Yeah.
And now Manager Leanne said that it's on the market at the moment. And they've had no offers.
Rightio.
Deputy Mayor Jane?
Yeah, I actually can't see what the motion was, the original motion. It's not up on the board.
We've emailed it to you. If you have a look at your emails.
Okay, so one of the things that I want to ask, rather than go back and look at that email, is how big that block is.
How big is the block?
Yeah.
It was the block we went out and had a look at. I think you were there that day, Councillor Erkins.
Yeah, well, I think it's a fair size, and the only reason I'm asking is a little bit like what I'm thinking with the beekeepers. You know, some of these blocks, because on some of the places that we have given leases to, some of those organisations have, you know, really big blocks of land, and they're not very willing to then work in with other organisations. So I'm just drawing that to council's attention, that if that is a big block of land, I realise that they will need some area for parking, because I don't think there's a lot of park on the road. They'll need off-road parking. But I just wonder if we shouldn't be looking at some of these things when we do make blocks available to organisations. If we look at the possibility of another, you know, putting a lease on another section of it for another organisation. I'm just, you know, as I said, I haven't got the
It's actually 4,000 square metres.
Kathy?
Yeah, which is a fairly big block, and there would be a possibility that something that would work, that could complement that, could actually go there. I just don't know whether that's not something that we can have, you know, have a look at.
I think the issue with that particular one, Councillor Erkins, is that it's flooding. It floods at the back. So I don't really think that we want everyone to go down the back area. There's flooding issues in all that industrial estate, but particularly down that back area.
Yeah, down the back area may be where they can put their car parking.
Yes,
and it's not flooding. And, you know, like, I'm not saying that actually has to happen, but I'm just saying I do know that we are having so many issues with different organisations that are not being prepared to work in with what they've got, and they pay very little for it. It's ratepayers' assets that are being given to these organisations, and I'm just talking on past experience that we are experiencing at the moment. A lot of time and effort is also taken into dealing with some of these organisations. So, maybe it's something we should bear in mind when we're leasing a property to somebody, getting a property and then leasing it to an organisation, that we leave options open to be able to put something else in if we need to.
So thank you, Councillor Erkins. I'll just ask CEO Mark if that could be a clause in the lease.
I was going to say, anything's possible.
My
but,
recollection when we
Yeah.
looked at the block is that it's quite narrow at the front and then it's broader at the back, but that is a creek.
Yeah.
So whilst I hear what you're saying, Councillor Erkins, and I totally agree, and I get quite annoyed when, we let community organisations lease a really good facility for $75, and then when another group wants to go there, they feel that they have complete ownership of it and it's theirs and they won't share. And it is frustrating because council actually own it and the ratepayers subsidising them, and they should be a bit more easy to get along with. But with this particular site, if I recollect, it's quite narrow at the front and it goes behind, and really nobody would want to do anything because it floods down there.
Thank you.
Probably,
Yes.
Yep, sorry. So, probably, Councillor, what I'm thinking of is not even particularly that something else will go on this block. This block, we may never ever have that, but I would just like to see that be in maybe all our new leases, that the option is there. That, it may never, that, as you say, this block may never ever be suitable to do it, but if the option is there for this and new blocks, new leases that we enter, I think it would be, quite good planning on our part. So I'm not saying that they have to take someone in. I'm saying let's keep that open. This one may never ever happen because of the size of the block, because of flooding issues, but let's look at that if something else did come along and they were the size of a postage stamp and they want to put something in the corner, and we couldn't find anything else, that there is an option that we could look at that with that and other leases that we have.
Yeah, it's Councillor. It's non-exclusive possession has been written into a number of our documents in a lot of these spaces. Now, it won't be all of them, but there is clauses in a range of these agreements for non-exclusive possession. It does cause angst, as you say, sometimes even within the community groups. There's who's got more of a right to do X, Y, Z. Not always do they all get on, unfortunately. But yeah, no, can it be done? Yes, it can. Maybe we need to look at then permit to occupy too, rather than leases in some of these occasions going forward. But anyway, yeah, if you're asking can it be done, yes, it can be done.
Yep. So just to clarify, I'm fully supportive of the motion, Councillor Height. I don't have any issues. I think they're a great organisation and they're out there doing something for the community, and fully support that. My question was really a supplement to that.
Thank you, Councillor Erkins. I'll just hand over to Councillor Sander. He's had the light on for quite some time.
I'm very patient. I just want to add that all men's sheds do a great job, and what they do for the community and for men's mental health, and just so that men have somewhere to go and talk, is good. I probably can't support this block because I believe that the back of the block can be built up and it would become an ideal industrial block. It's zoned light industrial or medium impact industry. So I couldn't support giving it away for $79 for a 10-year lease, due to the fact that it is for sale for $50,000 at the moment. I think it's listed around that $50,000, and that's an impact that the ratepayers is going to have if that money doesn't come in. So I probably can't support that block However, I do support other areas where we've investigated that these guys could go, which I believe could be it'll be more beneficial for the men's shed, because where it is actually right out in the industrial estate. Next minute you're going to have mobility scooters going out there, and then it's on where B-doubles travel into Parkside. There's going to be issues, I believe, down the track. So I believe that they're better suited elsewhere. So that's my thoughts.
Thank you, Councillor Sander. Me personally, I don't think there is any elsewhere. We've been around looking at other spots, and everywhere there's problems, and I am keen to support them. I always think the men's sheds are pretty much heavy industrial, because anywhere they've been in the built-up areas, they cause issues with noise, as Councillor Height said. So I think it's an ideal spot for them, and they're well aware of the distance out there, and that doesn't seem to be an issue with them. But I think that giving them a place where they have their own space and not trying to work in with other community groups, because that's always problematic. So I'm keen to support this motion. Councillor Height? You don't want to add anything to wrap up?
I'd just like to know, we were talking about that land that was near where the information centre and that the timber workers, we were looking at whether there was anything in that land there. What actually ever happened with that? I probably, coming back to what you said about, there doesn't appear to be anywhere else. I don't want us to go to this because it doesn't look like there's anything else. We've got to go to this because it's the best place, not because it's the only place. So if that other area, is there any options with that? There's a huge area that goes all the way from there, all the way down past the motel.
It is, but isn't that mostly railway land? And it's also very attractive there with the Timber Museum and the visitor information. So I'm not sure if you want to put industrial sheds and containers there bang onto the entrance of Wandai. So I don't feel that's a good option. I know they have looked at other places. Certainly they have always contended this was the best spot. And I know when it came up in September, I was keen to look around to be sure. And, whilst I agree with what I said was that, we can't find anywhere else, I do maintain that this would be the best spot for them.
But when we spoke to them at their, when we went out to meet with them, and we mentioned about another area, they thought that was a really great idea, because they did mention the fact that they had people on, disability scooters. And when you look at the men's shed in Kingaroy and the one in Nanango, they're not unpleasant looking places. They do have a certain pride in how they look like. And I know that it would be rail land, I should imagine, but I don't think that's impossible for us to get, because we got a lot of the rail land in Waroolan.
So the Kingaroy men's shed is a fair way out to Councillor Sanders, so I guess they get out there on however they traverse. Mobility scooters is quite a significant distance to get out to the airport.
Do we have any land at the Wandai airport?
That's even further.
That would be a lot further out.
Several K.
Yeah.
It's not costing us $50,000, eh?
But it's
Nobody's
not.
Bought it for
Nobody's. There's been no offers. It went out to tender and there were no offers.
It's been on the market several times. I mean, I'm not against splitting it in half, because I don't think they probably do need the full block. So I'm happy to add that into the. We've got the delegate to the chief executive to negotiate, finalise, and execute the lease. And if that's making it a smaller block, I don't have an issue with that. If there's room.
Yeah, if that back section can be built up.
It's awfully wet through that back section.
I'd probably, to Heath's
Councillor will
knowledge.
send his diggers down and sort it.
Councillor Deneen. Oh, sorry, Councillor Potter. Councillor Potter, you've got your hand up.
Yep. Okay. Yes, I do. Just curious with regards to that. If it was built up and split, I'm just thinking the cost to build it up might be a bit a bit more expensive, so it would really cut down on the price and value of the land anyway. I'd probably take Councillor Sanders' thoughts on that one.
Councillor Sander?
I'm actually thinking about buying the block.
One of the things, you got a conflict of interest then. One of the things that I think, you know, with real estate, I mean, I don't think we can say we've had it on the market for 50,000, so it's worth 50,000. It's only worth what we can sell it for. To me, but industrial or those type of blocks, you know, we sell that and someone comes along and wants to put an industry in there that's, you know, going to improve our community, you know, it's gone then. Once we've given it to the men's shed, I still, you know, would like to look at that area, the railway area. I think that would be great for them. It's not a long way out of town. They can, you know, as people get older, they get disabilities. It's very important then that they have that, the men's shed camaraderie and the you know, company of those guys. But sometimes it is difficult for them to drive that far out. So, you know, I just don't know that that's not an option to look at.
So, Councillor Denny, I'm just conscious that we've got lunch. Sorry, a morning tea for Leo and Beck Humphreys send off. So it's 10:35. Do you want to continue the debate, or do you want to hold this until we have morning tea and then come back?
I was just going to ask, can we have more time on this? Like, I know it was laid on the table, but can we put it... Like, I think we really, really need to look at this and investigate the other options, just so that we've got the full picture.
Move that it lay on the table again.
I know that we want to try and get it finalised and give them somewhere, but
it's still important to make the right decision. So I don't have an issue if you want to lay it on the table.
So
I'll move we lay it on the table.
So Councillor Erkins has moved the procedural motion, seconded by Councillor Dineen. We'll put it to the vote. All those in favour? All those against?
Yeah, no, I will vote.
All those in favour? All those in favour?
Yep. Yes.
Against? Carried unanimously. Thank you. So we might adjourn. Someone to move we adjourn for morning tea. Councillor Little, seconded by Councillor Height. All those in favour? Against? Carried.
Yep.
So we're going to have the send-off now for Beck and Leo in the tea room. So welcome back, everyone. Someone moved that we resume the meeting. Councillor Little, seconded Councillor Height. All those in favour? Against? Carried. Moving on to list of correspondence pending completion of assessment report, item 12.6 on page 153. Would someone like to move that? We receive and note the list of correspondence pending. Councillor Height, seconded Councillor Little. Any questions? Discussion? So the recommendation is that we receive and note the list of correspondence pending completion of assessment report as of the 30th of November 2024. Put it to the vote. All those in favour? Against? Carried.
Yep.
Thank you. Delegated authority reports, item 12.7 on page 156. So the officer's recommendation is that we note and receive the delegated authority report for the month of November 2024. And number 2, thank the planning and development team members for their commitment during 2024 in improving internal assessment and reporting processes for delegated applications. So someone to move that? Councillor
Yep.
Potter. Someone to second that? Councillor Little. So any discussion, comments, Councillor Little?
I see the Division 2 material change of use, major electricity infrastructure, battery energy storage system at Ellesmere Road. I was looking through the report. I didn't see anything about community consultation in that report. So was any community consultation at all taken into account?
So we'll get ask Manager Leo to respond.
Through the chair, you mean, Councillor Little, you mean in terms of public notification, or?
Well, no, not so much public notification, but more that they did come out here and did an attempt at some community consultation. I'm just wondering whether the state government takes into account the fact that most of the people in my division in Ellesmere are not happy with the BESS system going in there. Do they not care at all?
I can't comment on for that, but it was a code accessible application. So in terms of, there wasn't any formal public notification, but if they've come out here, but I'm not aware of any further consultation that was undertaken.
Okay, so it was all just lip service then, basically. It was all just going to happen.
That's because the code accessible, it's pretty much as of right if they've got tick the boxes. So we can't do anything about it, and that's been the problem all the way with this, with the batteries and the renewables.
Okay, well, I'd just like it on the record that the residents of Ellesmere are not happy with it, and I'm really sorry that there's nothing I can do for them to stop it.
Thank you, Councillor Little. Any other comments?
Madam
Manager?
Mayor, in terms of future applications, all we can do is encourage, and the planning team, when we're liaising and discussing this with proponents, encourage them that they undertake further community consultation and you know, seek that feedback from the community. That's the best we can do if it was a code accessible application. If you're happy with that, but certainly we can certainly encourage proponents to do that.
That would be great if you could do that for us. Thank you.
So just on a question, in the review of the planning scheme, is it possible to make those so that they are impact accessible?
There is possibility that you could. However, it depends on the type of application, whether or not the state might override that. I'm not 100% sure, but there are some, for example, if there's certain precincts that have been identified, the state legislation might override the planning scheme, but I'm not sure that's, in this case, that wouldn't be the case, but I know they have certain zones that might be identified for this type of infrastructure as part of the renewables rollout under the state strategy. But I think in this case that we don't have a particular or not identified renewable energy zone as such, a RES. So yeah, certainly you could look at the levels of assessment in the planning scheme as a possible way to, you know, bump it up from code to public, being a publicly notifiable application or land use.
So you can't, it doesn't matter. So it's not about it can be about the actual development as opposed to the actual land use, if you wanted to go down that path, if we wanted to through our planning scheme?
As part of your, a part of any planning scheme amendments, you could look at the land use, so the proposed use, whatever that might be, determined the definition of in your planning scheme. I would probably just flag that if council were to go towards a higher level of assessment, which would then trigger that being publicly notifiable as an impact assessment, the state will probably obviously assess any proposed amendments to a planning scheme. They may accept that or they may not, depending on how it aligns with the renewable energies rollout with their strategy for the state.
Yeah, no, I was more talking about not the land use, I was talking about the actual development. So could you just say that like we tried to when we went down to Canberra and also to the local government conference to try and get, like that, can we say that battery storage had to be taken through a certain process, not just depending on the land use? Can we make it so that wind, battery, solar, all has to go through an impact accessible public notification process, like rather than going that land might be okay for it, just the actual development?
I think you probably, Madam Mayor, you're probably crossing the. I'm probably saying the land use and what was the other term that you used?
The actual development.
Yeah, the actual development I'm referring to as the land use. So, for example, if council wanted to look at all renewables and so forth, you could certainly propose that as part of your scheme amendments. I'm just not sure that would receive support from the state. That's all.
Yeah, I understand now what you're saying. Yep. Thank you. Councillor Dineen.
I'm just curious, a question referring to the reconfiguration of the lot on 3 McLaughlin Street, 1 lot into 4 lots. What is the minimum size of a lot in that area, in the residential area in town?
Okay, well, take that on notice if that's okay. Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, it's just they seem to be getting smaller. I understand this is what happens in cities, but do we really need that in Kingaroy, a lot that's maybe 480 square metres? Or what's our minimum size?
Madam Mayor, we'll check on that with minimum sizes. I'd just like to probably add the comment, don't be, I suppose for council, don't see small lots as necessarily being detrimental either. So if you get a really good design on a small lot, or have small lots with good design, you can actually achieve some fairly good residential outcomes on smaller lots. But I appreciate, Kingaroy and other of our centres are more characteristic of larger lots. But at the same time, that's a good way to achieve a little bit more medium density in and around your town centres where your services are.
Yeah, and thank you very much, Manager Leo. But we do understand that we're trying to fit more people in, and there's a housing crisis, and you're probably very right in saying that well-designed lots are probably going to be the way of the future. It's just that generally people shift to the rural areas because they want to have that little bit more space. So thank you.
Madam Mayor, my staff are listening. So one of my planners just sent through and said 600 square metres in the low density residential zone, which this is what this one is, and it meets the minimum lot size.
Thank you to whoever sent that through.
Thank you, Councillor Dineen. Any other questions, comments? If not, I'll put it to the vote. All those in favour? Against? Yep. Carried. So now we're moving on to item... do we do 13.1 first, the minutes of the traffic? We're going to go on to the planning one, the late report, which is item 12.8. The officer's recommendation is that council approve the development permit for material change of use for high impact industries sawmill and environmentally relevant activity ERA 47B, timber milling and wood chipping, more than 10,000 tonne but not more than 20,000 tonne in a year on land at 157 Benin Road, Gudja, Queensland 4610, formerly described as Lot 4 on RP 807137, subject to the following conditions. Someone like to move that? Councillor Little, seconded by Councillor Deneen. Discussion. So this is a huge application. There's 200 over 200 pages, 264 pages. So did someone want to speak to that, or Leo, did you want to speak to the report?
Thanks, Madam Mayor. Yes, so this is an application that's been lodged. So there's an existing sawmill on the site. However, you're seeing an increase in terms of use there. So they've applied for impact industry sawmill and a concurrent ERA relevant activity. So they're looking to increase their volumes from below, below 5,000 tonnes a year to processing of more than 10,000 but less than 20,000 tonnes per year. And the proposal triggered an impact assessment as part of our planning scheme. So they're looking to formalise the existing land use through this application process. There were 2 submissions as part of it was publicly notifiable. 2 submissions were received, and those issues have been addressed in the body of the report.
Thank you. Any other questions? Councillor Height.
Always supportive of small businesses in our area, and it's obviously a great little business. I'm just concerned about the road. It's only about 1.5 kilometres to the main road, but it's very narrow. And I sometimes find with these applications, we approve them, and then 2 weeks later, somebody says we'd like the road widened, and the rest of the ratepayers have to pay to have that road widened. It is quite steep, and me and a couple of councillors went up it yesterday, and it's gouged out a little bit with the wet weather, and obviously trucks are going to make that worse. How do we ensure that? I just don't think the rest of the ratepayers should pay to widen that road when down the track people say there's so much traffic on it that we need the road widened. How do we fix that? I know it's not a condition in here that they have to widen, but I just don't want ratepayers to have to pay to widen that road.
Thanks for the question, councillor. Through the chair, there is a condition in there from SARA with respect to the Department of Main Roads condition, which requires a certain, and I'm just trying to find it. It's a
junction has to be 20 metres to make
correct,
it
yeah,
wide.
about 19 or 20 metres.
20 metres or something. I forget
yeah,
where it is.
Correct.
But it's more the wideness for the rest of that 1 kilometre.
Look, that's been assessed by our development engineers in traffic area, and yeah, it was deemed.
Okay. Well, I just like it on notice that when it comes back and people say they want the road widened, I'll be annoyed.
Thank you, Councillor Hyde. Yes, Councillor Deneen.
I do agree with Ros, because I've cycled on that road a few times, and it isn't very wide, and I would prefer to have seen the business involved had to assist with payment of widening that road, and I believe there's another small sawmill on the same road. So we're going to be getting quite a lot of traffic on that road now with the heightened, and they're big trucks. When it gets wet, I absolutely agree with Councillor Height saying that we believe that they should have been asked to contribute towards an upgrade of the road.
So I might just ask GM, and I know you've just walked in, but to comment on this, because so what Councillor Hyde is concerned, and Councillor Deneen are concerned about, is that the widening of the road. They think it's too narrow, that particular section, that 1 kilometre. So just and why wasn't that included as part of the conditions of the development?
Yeah, through Madam Mayor, I'd have to take that on notice and given that it's a formal application, probably seek some advice from Justin and from James at the same time, just so that we provide the appropriate answer. So, yeah,
I think that James talked to it a bit when we had the briefing. He talked about the fact that currently it's the B doubles have a permit to go along there, so it must be the national low usage. He did say the national heavy.
Yeah, Madam Mayor, the advisory note number 5 under Transport Route and Roadworks also highlights that any and all road upgrade requirements for that road being conditioned as part of that B double permit process to assessment and approval. And I understand, I think the manager said yesterday that comes up for review in 6 months' time. So
yes,
as part of that ongoing process, probably that is where that could also be looked at and addressed and monitored.
Thank you.
Councillor Erkins.
Yep, my understanding is that the sawmills have been operating. This is basically bringing this one into compliance, that it's meeting the it's going to be licensed and able to do it, but it has already been operating. So, I'm pretty happy with the fact that we've got it to this stage, and happy to go with the recommendation of our staff.
Thank you, Councillor Erkins. Any other comments or questions? Are you ready to vote? We'll put it to the vote. All those in favour? Against?
Yep.
Councillor Potter, you're good? Councillor Erkins?
Yes, I'm voting for it, yep.
Okay, so carried unanimously. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. Thanks, the planning team. Thanks, Leo. This is the last meeting, so wish you all the very best in your return.
Back for a couple of items in item 16, I think.
Item 16, okay. All right. So you're still with us. So, okay, now we're moving on. I'll just check with CEO Mark. Are you happy to move on to the 13.1? Minutes of the Traffic Advisory Committee meeting held the 26th of September 2024 on page 158. The officer's recommendation is that the South Bend Regional Council receive and note the attached minutes and recommendations of the Traffic Advisory Committee meeting held on 26th of September 2024. Someone to move that. Councillor Deneen, seconded by Councillor Erkins. Any questions, discussion on the Traffic Advisory Committee minutes?
No.
Everyone's happy?
Yep.
Put it to the vote. All those in favour? Against?
Yep.
Carried. Question on notice: how many children and adults use the Proston Pool? And that's page 164. So that one was asked by Councillor Jane Erkins. Are you happy with the response?
Yeah, so I'm quite surprised at how many. I think it's probably more than a lot of other pools.
So just for the benefit of those listening, so during the 23-24 financial year, the Proston Swimming Pool was open from late September 23 through to the end of January 2024. Visitor numbers: children 369, adults 130, seniors 38, a total of 537. So the officer's recommendation is that the response to the question regarding how many children and adults use the Proston Pool raised by Councillor Jane Erkins be received and noted. Someone to move that? Councillor Jane, seconded by Councillor Height. Put it to the vote. All those in favour? Against? Carried. So now we are moving into the confidential section. So we've got the reason. The recommendation is that Council considers the confidential reports listed below in a meeting closed to the public in accordance with Section 254J of the Local Government Regulation. We've got item 16.1, which is the EBA update number 2. Item 16.2, draft performance agreement, Chief Executive Officer 2025. Item 16.3, land use matter for 12 Butler Drive, Proston. Item 16.4, land use matter for 1200 Stonelands Road, Stonelands. Item 16.5, award of SBRC Q 242545 DRFA Reaper Zone 8 unsealed to undertake flood damage restoration works. Item 16.6, award of SPRC 242546 DRFA Reaper Zone 9 unsealed to undertake flood damage restoration works. And item 16.7, tender evaluation for 1 Pound Street, Kingaroy. Item 16.8, tender evaluation for 62 Burrow Street, Wandai. And item 16.9, procurement for Mount Warul Reservoir roof replacement, access platform and structural repairs. Someone move that we go into closed. Moved by Councillor Little, seconded by Councillor Height. Put to the vote. All those in favour? Against? Carried. Thank you. that. Councillor Little, put to the vote. All those in favour? Against? Carried. Item 16.2, Draft Performance Agreement, Chief Executive Officer 2025. So that's on page 7.
Yep.
The officer's recommendation is that South Bennett Regional Council receives the performance review report and delegates the Mayor to finalise and sign with the Chief Executive Officer. Someone to move that. Councillor Little, seconded by Councillor Height. Put it to the vote. All those in favour? Against? Carried. Item 16.3 on page 14. The land use matters for 12 Butler Drive, Proston. The recommendation is that South Bennett Regional Council resolves to 1. Note the officer's report as presented. 2. Take no further action regarding this matter at this time as the property owner and the complainants have been advised that it has been fully investigated and is now considered closed. Someone to move that. Councillor Deneen, seconded by Councillor Erkins. Put it to the vote. All those in favour? Against? Carried. Item 16.4 on page 19. The officer's recommendation is that South Bennett Regional Council resolves to note the officer's report as presented. And number 2, that the investigation of this matter will remain current and ongoing until after the Christmas New Year period and following a meeting to be held in January 2025 that potentially concerns the required development application. A further review will be undertaken. Someone to move that. Councillor Little, seconded by Councillor Deneen. Any discussion? Put it to the vote. All those in favour? Against? Carried. Item 16.5 on page 25. The officer's recommendation is that South Bennett Regional Council awards Yesberg's Earth Moving Unit Trust the contract SBRC Q 2425 _45 DRFA Reaper Zone 8 unsealed to the value of $1,123,280.01, excluding GST. Someone to move that. Councillor Height.
Yep.
Seconded by Councillor Potter. Any discussion? Put it to the vote. All those in favour? Against? Carried. Item 16.6. So that's on page 33. So we've got new wording here. Item 16.6. That South Bennett Regional Council award Compact Proprietary Limited the contract to SBRC Q 24/25 DRFA Reaper Zone 9 unsealed to the value of $1,135,251.72, excluding GST. Someone to move that. Councillor Little, seconded by Councillor Deneen. Any discussion? Put it to the vote. All those in favour? Against? Carried. Item 16.7 on page 40. That's a tender evaluation for 1 Pound Street, Kingaroy. The officer's recommendation is that South Bennett Regional Council resolve to 1. Approve the compliant tender to divest of 1 Pound Street, Kingaroy, Lot 13 on RP 814986 in accordance with the Local Government Regulation 2012/S228. Number 2, pursuant to Section 257(1)(b) of the Act, the Council resolves to delegate to the Chief Executive Officer the power to negotiate and finalise the sale contract. And number 3, contract negotiations be brought back to... Do we want to put a date on that? To finalisation of contract. So, someone to move that? Councillor Height. Someone to second that? Councillor Potter. Ready to vote? Put it to the vote. All those in favour? Against? Carried. Number 16.8, tender evaluation for 62 Borough Street, Wandai, on page 344. The officer's recommendation is that South Bennett Regional Council resolve to approve the compliant tender to divest of 62 Borough Street, Wandai, Lot 39 on SP 212971 in accordance with the Local Government Regulation 2012/S228. Moved by Councillor Height, seconded by Councillor Little. Any discussion? Put it to the vote. All those in favour? Against? Carried.
Yes.
The last one is 16.9, procurement for Mount Rural Reservoir roof replacement access platform and structural repairs on page 351. The officer's recommendation is that South Burnett Regional Council award Water Infrastructure Services, WIS, the SBRC _242561, Mount Rural and Roof and Structural Repairs contract for the value of $623,223.52. Someone to move that? Councillor Sander. Someone to second that? Councillor Deneen. Put it to the vote. All those in favour? Against? Carried. Thank you.
Doesn't say plus or minus GST, should it?
That last one doesn't have the GST. Excluding GST. We'll just add that in there. If that's okay. So is the Councillor Sander and Councillor Deneen happy that we add that excluding GST to that motion? Okay. And put it to the vote. All those in favour? Against? Carried. Thank you. That's the closure of the meeting. So thank you, everyone. And as we said before, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and look forward to another wonderful 2025.